In our previous video, we looked at how chromatic mediants can be used as chromatic chords within an established tonality, and also to create full tonal shifts to distantly related keys. Today, we're going to examine how chromatic mediant harmony can be used in the space between these two harmonic functions, inspecting harmonic regions that are more substantial than a fleeting chromatic chord, as in creep, yet stop short of establishing a full-blown key change, as in My Heart Will Go On. We're also going to uncover a widely used trick composers use to maximise the emotional impact of both temporary and permanent chromatic mediant shifts. As we mentioned in the last video, in Bowie's Life on Mars, he moves from a verse solidly in F to a pre-chorus beginning with a chromatic mediant prolongation of A flat. However, at no point does the harmony feel like it has actually settled in A flat, as it points us ever onward, by means of a line cliché, to another chromatic mediant of F major in the second half of the pre-chorus, D flat. Which also marches steadily onwards, again through line cliché, towards the key of B flat major, where we eventually settle at the chorus. So, how can these chromatic mediant moves to A flat and D flat be characterised? On the face of it, the whole pre-chorus could be seen as a direct modulation to A flat, described simply as A flat tonic prolongation, followed by D flat subdominant prolongation. But this doesn't actually describe the listener's tonal perception, as A flat never feels like even a local tonic. As soon as we arrive at the A flat chord, the line cliché destabilises it, keeping the harmony projecting ever forward towards its eventual goal, rather than ever looking inward. The D flat section can be described in the same way, and although this time it's tonicized, this only serves to increase the sense of forward momentum towards the eventual goal of B flat major at the chorus. These sections can therefore be described as transitional tonal regions, as although in both cases chromatic mediant harmony is being prolonged, the prolongations only serve to move the harmony elsewhere, with even the D-flat tonicization being immediately harnessed into forward motion. On the contrary, in Arnold Bax's Tintagel, we see a chromatic mediant tonicization which is strengthened by its prolongation, moving us on to yet another harmonic state between chromatic chord and key change. Here, Bax tonicizes D major, a chromatic mediant of global tonic B major. Here, the prolongation of D is serving to reinforce it as a new local tonic, achieved by means of pedal point and an overall shift in texture, as the strings move from pizzicato to arco and widen their registral spread, before Bax brings us back to the global key B major 5 bars later. The move to D is set up by its own 5 chord, but more interestingly, Bax interpolates the resolution with F sharp, the 5 chord of the global key B major. On the face of it, this might seem a confusing move as we land on D and not B, but upon closer inspection, we can also understand this chord as a chromatic mediant of D major itself. This ability to be interpreted in both keys simultaneously helps the chord seamlessly bridge the two tonalities together, and its addition also fills the space between dominant and tonic through arpeggiation, delaying the resolution to add more expressive weight to the new arrival. This passage really exemplifies the flexibility of chromatic mediant harmony in its ability to be utilised in both long-range and short-range harmonic thinking. Looking back at our Bowie example, we can see this same chord 5 harmonic pivot, And in the case of our full key change to the chromatic mediant key in My Heart Will Go On, we see it yet again. But this time, not as a chromatic mediant, but the diatonic 3 chord of the chromatic mediant key we're moving to, E sharp minor. So why do composers keep doing this, when they could just slip into these chromatic mediant areas from chord 1? More on this later. Although these examples occupy different points on the spectrum between chromatic chord and full key change, as it's only what happens once we've arrived in the new harmonic region that determines their place on the spectrum, they're all slipped into the same way, with no dominant preparation and by third. In the case of My Heart Will Go On through a diatonically related chord, but in the cases of Bowie and Bax, through much more harmonically distantly related chromatic mediant sonorities, showing us that mediant relationships don't have to be diatonic to be connectable. Many other chromatic options introduced without dominant preparation would feel jarring, but in the case of chromatic mediants, the close pitch relationships brought about by this thirds-based connection counterbalance the harmonic distance. We can of course move to chromatic mediant harmony in other more conventional ways, but chromatic mediants give us this option to slip into other, often distantly related keys convincingly, temporarily or otherwise, with no dominant setup, down to the shared notes between the chords and the stepwise voice leading, both on the tonic to destination level and, as in the cases of Bowie and Bax, in the context of a wider tonal story, seen here in the short-range chromatic mediant movement between chord 5 of the keys that are being exited and the long-range chromatic mediant arrivals. When operating in this wider context, it's not only chromatic mediants that can lead us into distant keys. On a tonic to destination level, a diatonic mediant move would either keep you inside the current tonality or move you to a very closely related one. But operating in a wider context, diatonic mediants can also link us to distant keys. In My Heart Will Go On, we access the chromatic mediant key through a diatonic mediant. Like with Bowie and Bax, our chromatic mediant goal is a third up from the tonic of our starting key, but this time chord 5 doubles as a diatonic mediant and not a chromatic one. This example is the only instance where a diatonic chord in either major or minor links to an overall chromatic mediant area as a normal mediant, and not a chromatic or doubly chromatic one, and is a very useful exception, as this close relationship, defined by 2 common tones, helps further smooth the join between the starting key and the overall chromatic mediant destination. However, it's not just reasons pertaining to smoothness that motivate composers to use chord 5 when moving to chromatic mediant areas. So, why do we see chord 5 so often as a gateway to chromatic mediant keys, when we know that chord 1 has sufficient reach to make the destination? Put simply, tension. Chord 5 itself is intrinsically hardwired to resolve. By using it as a gateway into another key, whether we stay there or not, the built-in directional pull of the chord will simultaneously add motivation to its arrival and extra drama, as the listener's tonal expectations are deceived.